the opinion of the Chinese people, who have been reduced Dear sirs, from my simple cabin in the mountains, permit me to express my sentiments. Everywhere these days, you hear discussions or read articles in celebration and commemoration of the successes or accomplishments, as you call them, that occurred here many centuries ago. I would like you to listen to our point of view as well, the opinion of the Chinese people, who have been reduced to living in misery in the mountains and outlying areas of our continent. You should recall well what has passed. A Chinese writes to the Aztecs. One sad day, great ships built with the timber of your immense forests appeared on our shores. The men from your ships set foot on our land, adorned with beautiful feathers and carrying strange artifacts unlike we had ever seen. We wanted to welcome them with hospitality, but before we were able to respond, they shouted strange words in their language and our king and queen, Ferdinand and Isabel, found themselves imprisoned on your ships, along with others of our leaders. Taking advantage of the fact that our kingdoms were in conflict with one another, your soldiers made themselves the owners of our land. Ships and more ships were arriving from the Western Sea. We were forced to adapt ourselves to your whims and learn your language. We learned of how one experienced adventurer had convinced your emperor Moctezuma that if he sailed toward the sun, he would arrive at the kingdom of the Chinese. A country overflowing with riches of strange plants and valuable minerals. We were told of how you sent some of the bravest, cruelest, and most ambitious men to sea. When they arrived on our shores, the lands we called Spain and Europe, they believed they had arrived in China. Because of this, they began to call us Chinese, and in honor of your kings, they baptized our countries with other names. And they baptized our country with blood. Baptism with water, as in our religion, was prohibited. It is true that you gave us part of your culture, art, and religion, but at what price? Today, in the main plaza of Tlaxcalia, which until then we called Toledo, there stands an enormous teocalli, a pyramid in the style of the Aztec monuments. On the other hand, the grand cathedral of our faith is now only a mountain of ruins, visited by awed tourists. By way of the sea, you continue to come, navigators, soldiers, and merchants of other Western kingdoms. The Incas covered in gold, the Mayas agile and valiant, the Apaches who invaded the north of Moctezumia, and between you there were struggles to divide our lands. Today, ancient Europe is divided into states that you created through your wars and political struggles. It's true that one day the nations of Moctezumia obtained independence, but true independence? Your descendants who have been installed here are the owners of the land. They are the masters. As for us, the indigenous peoples of these lands, the Chinese, as you call us, we hardly have rights. In the beginning, you didn't even consider us human beings. Now we are considered second-class citizens. Without culture, you say, because we don't have Aztec education, which you consider the only education. In the northern part of our continent, you organized the powerful United States of Moctezumia. In so doing, the natives of what used to be called Flanders, Scotland, and Bavaria are today enclosed on reservations, Chinese reserves as you call them. There they survive by attracting tourists with their dancing and crafts. And don't tell me, sirs, that this story is all in the past. Look at Moctezumia today. Its rich country and mines, who do they belong to now? The wheat we grow in the countryside is made into bread for your homes and cakes for your parties. You buy from us at a ridiculously low price, while you sell your bananas, mangoes, and papaya as though they were gold. Using our natural resources, you have invented machines to make life easier. Then you sell us these machines, which don't serve us except to confuse us. And these you make us trade for things we more urgently need. From our fields you export coal, wine, and oil, all in your huge company ships. Sometimes on those same ships, You bring us aid to get out of our misery. But above all, you have us import conflicts that end by destroying us. How fortunate for you that we fight among ourselves and torture ourselves. This way we are vulnerable. You imposed a government of your own style and taste, and those who actually rule our governors are you and the government of the United States of Moctezumia. Our wise and ancient judicial system has disappeared under your intrigues and pressures. Now you are preparing grand parties to celebrate the day that you discovered us. You intend to organize conferences, meetings, and expositions in your capital, Tenochtitlan, and in New Chapultepec. In closing, I take this opportunity to write you, asking that you take into consideration the sentiments and opinions of the Chinese people. We, the descendants of the natives decimated by your avarice, you, the Aztecs, Incas, Apaches, Iroquois, you who discovered us through blood and fire 500 years ago. Think well on the course of history. There are things that cannot be undone. Even so, we exist and we demand our rights. Think at least on what one of our sacred books urges. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you.